Hi there, it's Monday, May 11th, 2020, and today we are going to learn about theme, what the theme is, how to determine the theme in a text for reading. Let's go ahead and get started by reading our job. I will determine the theme of a text. Before we do that, we have to talk about what is theme. So if we read this as the central message or lesson learned, there's a lesson that is learned the author's trying to get us to learn in the story. We can think about a couple of folk tales and fables that we have read in the classroom. Remember the tortoise and the hare, and remember the ant and the grasshopper. In the tortoise and the hare, if you remember, they were going to run a race, and the hare thought, I don't need to, I can just pull over to the side, I can take a nap, wake up, and I can finish the race and I'll still win, because he was thinking the tortoise walks really slow and there's no way that the tortoise is going to be able to beat me. But what happened? The tortoise, remember, he took a nap and he stayed asleep, and the tortoise, even though he was slow, he passed him up and won the race. So what's the lesson for that? If you remember, the lesson on that was like it's better to take it nice and slow than rush through things. And we talked about how we can use that lesson in the classroom. We don't rush through our work and we take our time, then we're probably not going to make all the mistakes that we might make if we really rush through it just to finish our work. So in that particular, the tortoise and the hare, the author wanted us to learn that it's best to take our time, to take it nice and slow, and rushing isn't always the best thing, is it? So with that in mind, we are going to read The Little Red Hen, and I want you to think about, what do the characters learn in this story? What do they learn? So by the end of the story, what do you think the characters learn? I also want you to think about what the author wants you and I to learn from the story, something that we could use in our life. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. The Little Red Hen by Carol Ottolenghi, illustrated by Reggie Holiday. Okay, this is also in Spanish at the bottom here, but I'm just going to read the English portion. Once upon a time, a little red hen lived on a farm with a dog, a pig, and a cow. The little red hen worked hard every day, but her friends were very lazy. They slept in the sun and watched the little red hen work. Do you notice how I kind of messed up the words here? But what did I do? I just went back and fixed it, right? So it's okay if we make mistakes when we read, as long as we go back and we fix our mistakes. One morning, the little red hen found some grains of wheat. Look, she squawked to the other animals. If we plant this grain, we'll have bread with our tea. Who will help me plant the grain? Asked the little red hen. Not I, said the dog. Not I, said the pig. Not I, said the cow. The little red hen sighed. I guess I'll have to plant it myself, she said, and she did. All summer long, the little red hen watered and weeded her wheat. The dog, the pig, and the cow always said they were too busy to help. By the end of the summer, the wheat stood tall and golden. It was ready to be cut and threshed. Look at this wheat. It's grown really tall, didn't it? Who will help me cut and thresh the wheat? Asked the little red hen. Read with me, guys. Not I, said the dog. Not I, said the pig. Not I, said the cow. The little red hen sighed. I guess I'll have to cut it and thresh it myself, she said. And she did. She cut the wheat with her sharp beak. Then she tied it into bundles, and shook loose all the grains. The little red hen loaded the wheat grains into a wheelbarrow. It would be nice to have some help, she thought. Do they look busy? They're just watching her. It would be nice if she could get some help, right? Who will help me take the grain to the mill? Asked the little red hen. Read with me, guys. Not I, said the dog. Not I, said the pig. Not I, said the cow. The little red hen sighed. I guess I'll have to take it myself, she said, and she did. At the mill, the miller poured the grain between the millstones. The stones turned round and round, grinding the grain into soft, powdery flour. Did you know that flour is made from grains and that it has to be milled? That's interesting, isn't it? The road back to the farm was long. The wheelbarrow was heavy, but the little red hen forgot she was tired every time she imagined the taste of freshly baked bread. Back at the farm, the little red hen asked the other animals, "Who will help me bake some bread?" Read it with me, guys. "Not I," said the dog. "Not I," said the pig. "Not I," said the cow. The little red hen sighed. "I guess I'll have to bake it myself," she said, and she did. They don't look very busy to me at all. Do they look busy to you? The little red hen made the dough and put it in the oven to bake. Soon a delicious aroma filled the farmyard. An aroma. Do you know what an aroma is? It filled the farmyard. Do you see this right here? It's the smell of the freshly baked bread filled the farmyard. The little red hen pulled the perfectly baked bread from the oven. It was crusty and golden brown. "Now, who will help me eat the bread?" the little red hen asked the other animals. "I will," said the dog. "I will," said the pig. "I will," said the cow. The little red hen shook her head. "No, you won't," she said. Why is she saying no? What do you think? Keep reading and find out. "You did not help me plant the grain," said the little red hen. "You did not help me cut and thresh it. You did not help me take the wheat to the miller. And you did not help me bake the bread. So you are not going to help me eat the bread either," she said. "I will eat the bread myself." What do you think? Do you think that's fair? She worked very hard, and she got tired, but she kept on going. Well, look at their faces. Well, the three, the cow, the pig, and the dog, they just said they were too busy. They kept saying, "Not I." So I think it's pretty fair. And that is exactly what she did. So, before we move on to the activity that we're going to work on, I have some questions for you. What did the little red hen want to plant? She wanted to plant some grains of wheat, didn't she? And then what happened when she asked her friends for help? They kept saying, "Not I." They wouldn't help, would they? Where did the little red hen, take the wheat? Do you remember where she took the wheelbarrow of the wheat to? Right, she took it to the miller, right, so that it could be grounded up into some fine powder. It was a flour that she could use to bake, right? And what did she make with the flour? She made the bread. Now, did the hen share what she made? She didn't, right? She didn't think they deserved to have the bread because they didn't help her, did they? They kept saying, "Not I." They were too busy. Well, let's go back to our lesson over here in our activity. Each of you are going to have your own copy of this sheet here, and right in the spot right here where it says central message, this is where you're going to tell me what you believe is, and we're actually going to do this first one together because it's going to be practice. What do you think that the characters learned in this story? The pig, the cow, and the dog. What do you think they learned? And what do you think the author wants us to learn from the story? Something that we could use in our life. Right. We should always be willing to help, right? Always be willing to help others. So whenever mom or dad or someone in your family, your grandma, or someone asks for help, even your friends at school, if they ask for help, always be willing to help, right? Always be willing. So how do we know that's what the author is trying to teach us? Or how do we also know that this is what the characters learned in the story? Here it says evidence. You see these three boxes say evidence? We're going to do one together and you're going to do the other two on your own. So when we talk about evidence, it's what we can go back to the book and read pages to find out how do we know what supports the message. How do we know that the author wanted us to learn to always be willing to help others? How do we know that the pig, the dog, and the cow That's what they learned from this story. If we go back over to our story, and if we go back to the beginning, and go all the way back here to the beginning of the story, where she found the grains of rice, or not of rice, the grains of wheat. And right here, she found the grains, and she went over to her friends, and she said, if we plant this grain, we'll have some bread with our tea. Here, this is where she asked them to help. And what did they say? They all said no, right? So they kept saying no throughout the story. We keep on going through, and every time she asked for help, here, she asked them to help cut and thresh the wheat. What did they say? No. See, we keep on looking here. This is where she asked them to help take the grain to the mill, and what did they say again? No, not I, not I. So that's one piece of evidence that we can use back in our chart. So here we could say, the dog. Remember to use complete sentences, guys. It helps us to be able to speak in complete thoughts, and then when we write, we want to write in complete sentences. So the dog, cow, and pig kept saying, not I. This is some evidence that supports that the lesson in this particular story is to always be willing to help others. They kept saying no. So were they helping? They weren't. So I want you to think about what are some other pieces of evidence. What else happened in the story that shows that what the author wanted us to learn and what the characters learned is that we should always be willing to help others. What are some other parts in the story? Okay. What happened at the end? Think about what happened at the end when the animals said that they wanted some bread. What did the hen do? Okay, and just see if you can figure out some other two pieces. On our lesson for Wednesday, we'll come back and I'll share with you what the other two pieces of evidence that I came up with and see if they match what you said, because we're going to work on this the rest of the week. We're going to have another story that we're going to determine the theme, the message learned, and we're going to not only tell what that theme is, like we did here in this portion here, we're also going to take the evidence from the book. What did the book have? What's the evidence that shows that that's what the lesson is? If you guys have any questions on this, feel free to reach out to me. Remember, one thing that I want to remind you guys is to use complete sentences. You guys know what you can do, and I know what you can do. You guys can write in complete sentences, and you're getting ready to move into second grade. So I want you to please continue to work on writing complete sentences. Don't just say help others here, or don't just say they said no. I want you to have a complete thought in your mind and then share that with a complete sentence using capital letters and a period at the end. So please, please just don't write words. Write me a complete sentence in here, and if it doesn't fit, you can always make the font smaller so that it fits in there, okay? If you have any questions on how to do that, please reach out to me. I am here, guys. Even though we are not in the classroom together, please remember I am here to help. And Mom and Dad can send message to me during the day. I am available for any questions. I'm also available to connect with you face to face to work on an activity if you're not exactly sure what to do. Remember, just like in the classroom, you could raise your hand and you could come back to the teacher table and ask me for help if you were stuck. If you're stuck, I am still here to help you in any way that I can. Guys, have a great Monday, and I will talk to you soon. Goodbye.